1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on, episode 28 now.
Okay, I'm glad you're keeping check.
Firmly into the second half year of this podcast's life. Yeah. So I did have a topic for this morning, not to belabor the point too much, but you seem to say that you've got something.
I've always got something to talk about.
All right, I'll defer. In most of the things I want to talk about, I'm like, should we talk about that on the podcast?
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So, what did you have?
So, the first of my two quandaries. Quandary
works.
Anyway, is what's your view on games that give you the option of stealth or loud, or a bit of both, and also games that have done just that, but they have pushed you, strongly suggested that you go down a particular route.
Okay, so first of all, the whole stealth versus non-stealth approach thing, I know you're asking this because you've been playing the Hitman games.
It is.
But, I mean, I also played Cyberpunk recently, and that also, in a lot of cases, you had stealth options. I find that in a lot of cases, the stealth option tends to be more satisfying, whereas the loud option is more lazy. Because especially if it's an FPS, like, played quite a bit of those in my days, and I'm not to brag, but I'm actually pretty good at them. If I just go in guns blazing, especially against NPC opponents, they're gone. Like that would just be okay. We're done, easy.
Yeah, but a game like if Doom had a stealth element, you would not do the stealth element, would you?
Stealth would never work in Doom.
No, it wouldn't.
But you're kind of so in games that have a stealth or a non-stealth option, it's typically designed that way. I personally have found it's rare for a game to have the combat option be as satisfying as the stealth option.
I don't know. I quite often find that the combat is more satisfying. So take Hotline Miami, right?
Oh well, okay. Again, you're thinking of a completely different type of game.
Well, it's a game where you can do it stealthily or you can do it loud.
You can do stealth in Hotline Miami?
Yeah, I mean, if you fire off a machine gun, then everyone in the building is going to come running. If you walk around with a knife, like throwing knives into people, knocking them out, etc.
Alright, well, I've never played. So, for reference, people that don't know, Hotline Miami is a top-down, 80s disco fever dream of a game where you just go into a building and murder everyone in there.
Yeah, you get assigned contracts from your apartment, and you basically go out and fight the Russian mob in Miami. Really good game.
Yeah, honestly, from what I've seen of the game, it would have never occurred to me that there even was a stealth option.
Yeah. There's
to give you an idea of when you ask this question, what I'm thinking of games like what is it called? It starts with a D.
Deus Ex.
No, not Deus. Well, Deus Ex is a good example.
That's the first one I think of.
Deus Ex is a good example. So is Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's one of the first ones that I've found that a hybrid approach is actually just as satisfying. Because the game does a good job of not judging you when you fuck up the stealth.
Right.
It's combat started, time to blow people's heads off.
Yeah. Yeah, the MGS series has always been...
Yep.
If you can stealth, then excellent. What I quite often find is...
Dishonored. The game was called Dishonored. Sorry.
Okay. I've seen bits of that, but I haven't played it. The games quite often... Which is a good thing and a bad thing, really, but if you go down the stealth route, the gameplay is stretched out a lot more. You're waiting for the perfect timing to execute the perfect plan, so it takes a lot longer. But you normally get rewarded with, more XP, more stars, whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Dishonored is probably a good example, and Hitman maybe not be the perfect comparison, but Dishonored is the same sort of thing. You're waiting for the guards to walk around, you're finding creative paths around people, but Dishonored goes a step further. Like, well, I guess Hitman does it too with the star rating at the end of the missions, but in Dishonored, you've got a good and a bad ending, and you can only get the good ending if you went like the stealthy no-kill approach.
Oh, I would hate that.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
that's the... In games like that, I feel like I'm obligated to take the stealth approach.
yeah, it's like they've put in the mechanic where you can go loud. Like, the mission doesn't instantly fail when you go loud, but your points just drop off to nothing, and you feel like the game's berating you for playing it the way that you want to play it, which is kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really satisfying when you complete it in stealth, but then if you make like even a tiny mistake and you lose like half an hour worth of playtime, it is gutting, and it quite often makes me want to walk away from a game.
There is that, but Hitman has the approach of, like, its levels are like puzzles. There's a lot of ways you can go through them and, you know, eliminate your target and different disguises, different approaches you can take. So that one, I judge it a little less because there's an element of fuck around and have fun to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's more the case in the early levels. That's why I kind of like them, because they're a lot more, you know, you can dick around basically and come up with something. You can, you know, go after the president of France or whatever in a clown costume with a rubber duck explosive. That's fine. But when you get to later levels, it's like, no, you've got to do it you got to follow this exact kind of narrative.
I haven't gotten that far. I think I only have like the first chapter worth of missions. I got them free on the Xbox, so I've played through the missions that you're doing, but I haven't gotten that far.
Right. Yeah, and I played. So I've only just come back to Hitman. I played it when it came out, I think, and I haven't played it since. And I was watching some YouTube.
Sorry, for just thinking for the benefit of people who don't know, the Hitman series is a series of video games where you play this cold, emotionless, bald dude who disguises himself. It's a very arcadey kind of game, but it's a 3D third-person shooter. You get a level, and you get a target and an objective, and then it's up to you to go through the level and figure out how to do it. Are you going to... A target to assassinate, I should clarify. Are you going to disguise yourself as, like, you know, his butler and then shank him in the back? Are you going to drop a chandelier on his head? Are you going to poison his wine? Like, there's typically a bunch of different ways you can accomplish your goal. But yeah, just figured I should clarify that. Go on. You were watching YouTube.
So I was watching YouTube and I saw some people playing Hitman, the next version of Hitman, which is technically in the same game still, but it's a different game. I don't know. I was watching them and I was like, they're terrible, lol, it's hilarious, I'm gonna play and kick ass. And I got back on it after all this time and I'm like, oh my god, I can't do jack. So it's one of those, like, you know, football-esque things where you're behind the TV, you're like the best person in the universe, but on the pitch you're like, oh, I'm not very good at this.
Yeah. The whole armchair general effect.
Exactly. But yeah, as you said, there's some really creative methods and quite ridiculous ones as well. Yeah. I know there's one where you get someone to stand in a particular place by turning on the intercom so that his soldiers who are bad-mouthing him, he hears that, and then he goes over to tell them off. You go up to the floor above and drop a toilet through a hole in the floor onto the guy's head to kill him. Like,
this is what I meant when I said the game is very arcadey, because there's all this ridiculous stuff that you could do. Like, this bald person, when I said you can dress up like his butler, I wasn't kidding. Like, even if his butler has an afro, you, as this pale, bald dude, can wear the butler's costume, and no one will be the wiser.
Sometimes he wears wigs. Sometimes. I mean, but most of the time, yeah, it's like, oh, my friend who just went round the corner to, you know, investigate a noise, he's come back and,
now he's scowly and bald.
He was African-American, now he's Caucasian. It's a bit like, okay, cool. suspend the disbelief.
But yeah, but again, the game is ridiculous, which is part of what makes it fun.
Absolutely. But yeah, so in Hitman in particular, there's like you really can't go loud.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you just shoot the guy and walk out, then for a start you'll get like no points. So every time you complete a mission, you get a certain amount of mastery points, which basically means that you can play when you play the level next time. You'll have new tools you can use. You can start in new places. And you'll have more assets unlocked, so you could do more things. So obviously it's not very special, and you wouldn't get many challenges completed if you just walked up and shotgunned him in the chest and walked out.
Yeah.
That's where the like toilet dropping and poisoning and stuff comes in.
I do want to recall what I said earlier with Cyberpunk. I really do think, the more I think about it, the more I agree with what I said, that the Cyberpunk game, Cyberpunk 2077, like it had a very good I think approach to stealth versus non-stealth. I mean, you were stealthy not because you didn't want to be seen, but because maybe you couldn't kill your target, or maybe you had no health because your character's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And if you went loud because you were lazy and just didn't care about the NPCs in front of you. So they do a very good job of that. I by the end of the game, I beat almost everything in that game, so I was super over leveled. I had like so many cyber modifications that I could afford to do. Well, go loud and stay stealthy at the same time. Yeah. Like I'd go in, ping a camera, it would show me the locations of all the enemies. I'd take out everyone I could while they weren't looking. I'd use a silenced pistol to take out a few more. If someone saw me, I'd hack their brains so they no longer knew I was there. Like, there were ways to get around that, and I was able to stealthily and like rapidly and stealthily clear an area.
Well, so as you know, I'm this is kind of related to that. So where you say you can like hack someone's brain to make them forget you, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know how difficult it is to actually hack into someone's brain.
Well,
in the game.
In that game, it's pretty damn easy.
You know how much I love the Payday franchise, right?
Yeah.
So in the original Payday game, there was no like question marks, then exclamation marks, then they would call, and then the alarm would go, and then everyone on the map knew that you were a criminal.
Yeah.
Right? In the first one, someone saw you, alarm's gone. Everyone in the building knows that you're a criminal and where you are. Also, I don't think you could actually... So there was definitely stealth missions in it, but you couldn't finish any of the missions in stealth. So, like, there was one where you'd break into this massive high-rise building, it's got a vault in it, you get the codes, you shut down the security locks, you manage to sneak into the vault, but you can't... Oh wait, maybe you could fully stealth that one. But there is like a red diamond in a special case, which I know you could not break without. The moment you like touch the glass, the whole building goes wild. I think it's actually the same with. I think if you smashed any of the glass cases, because you had to smash some of them to get the loot out. So yeah, there was like. It rewarded you for being in stealth, but only up to a certain point, and then you realise, hang on, I've got all my stealth gear on, and they've got machine guns. So, that was, I think, a very bad way of doing stealth. I mean, obviously, in Payday 2, they made it a lot better. I think Payday 2 is an excellent stealth game, but...
That's the thing, like, I'm thinking, you mentioned Deus Ex earlier, the original Deus Ex, the one from like the early 2000s.
I've only played one of them. We say this every time.
Yeah, okay. So it's an old computer game. It looks very dated now, but it was kind of one of the pioneers in like RPGs with, or like a shooter RPGs, essentially. meaning that it's first-person shooter, but you have leveling mechanics, you have skills and things that you can level up and develop your character over time. It had a tranquilizer gun that may be the least stealthy weapon I can ever think of in a video game that's supposed to be stealthy.
I mean, tranquilizer darts would be silent, right?
You'd think. So what the tranquilizer gun actually does is you shoot someone, the dart hits them, then they run around screaming at the top of their lungs for like a minute, and then they fall over. It's like, that is the opposite of tranquil.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like, God. People in Payday 2 that think that a taser, because it's a melee weapon, is a silent kill. So they tase a guard and he starts firing off his gun all over the goddamn room.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because the only way in Deus Ex to take a stealthy approach, the original one, is to use the taser, because the tranquilizer gun doesn't do what it's fucking supposed to do. So you have to get up, like, you have to learn their walking patterns and get up close to them and then tase them. Otherwise, otherwise the only option is to just sneak past people.
Yeah, I see. Well, the other thing that I was I've been entertaining myself with all week has been speed runs.
Oh yeah, do you watch Games Done Quick?
I do. Well, it certainly rings a bell.
Yeah. Games Done Quick, for those that don't know, is a charity that what they do is they do, like, I think it's twice a year. They do a summer and a winter one. And they'll get a bunch of people who speedrun video games together and get them to speedrun some games, and then during the gameplay, people will, donate money, and it goes to different things. They have a bunch of charities. They're usually something like, cancer research, homeless shelters, things like that. So it's a cool thing, and I enjoy watching them. They're actually pretty entertaining. But go on. Which is there a speed run in particular that you watched that got to you?
I was. So I was watching someone on YouTube called Easy Speezy.
Okay.
And have you heard of him?
No. I'm just laughing at the name.
He does some quite ridiculous speedruns. And I was like, I wonder if this game has been speedrun. So I went on the speedrun website, and looked up all these really weird games that have been speedrunned. For example, Heroes of the Storm has a speedrun challenge.
What?
Which is to start a custom game with no allies and no enemies, and you have to win 3 matches. Which seems like the dumbest thing. Like, if it was just you have to start a game on AI with expert difficulty, and the fastest person to complete that on their own with AI, that seems like a good speedrun, right?
I guess?
Because it's like there's a level of RNG to it, what enemies you get, what allies you get, and how quickly you can defeat them. But when it's an empty map with just minions and you,
I mean,
it's rather boring to watch.
I personally, I like watching the speedruns where people find, like, I like watching old games speedrun. So, like, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, I saw a speedrun of that where, like, there's just the way there's a well in that game. And the well is normally filled with water when you're a kid, and then later in the game transitions between, like, when you're a kid and when you're an adult.
Yeah.
Because you can travel back and forth in time. When you're a kid, the well is full of water. When you're an adult, it's not. And you can get down to the bottom there, and there's a whole dungeon at the bottom. Now, yeah, no, I might be getting that backwards. I think there's something
Anyway.
there's something you can do to drain the water. But the person just walked up to the well, like, used the block button, ran against the wall, and backflipped, and managed to glitch through the water mechanics down to the bottom, and just walked into the dungeon early. I love seeing stupid shit like that in speed runs because I one of the most enjoyable bits for me is watching them like break games that I actually really like and just
Yeah, I mean,
skipping huge portions.
the biggest game for that I've seen is Mario 64. The, the power slide backwards move. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
you've seen that.
yep, I know the one you're talking about.
They go across like 32 versions of the map to get to a very particular point on the. It's science beyond what I understand. But the tricks they do in there are just mind-boggling, and I think they've got it down to like 12 minutes to complete the game now.
It's hilarious. Some of the things. One of the things I saw recently was it was somebody doing a speed run, but it was pre-recorded, and they had the developers of the game watching the person do the speed run.
Yeah.
And I think the one in particular that I was watching was there's a game Outer Worlds, I think it is.
Oh yeah, I've seen that video. Yeah.
Outer Worlds is I actually enjoyed that game. It had its flaws, but it's made by the same people who made Fallout New Vegas. And to give you kind of a quick rundown, it's just a sci-fi RPG shooter. Where you end up with a ship, you get a crew of companions, you do missions and quests, and then at the end you defeat a big bad corporation and then save the day. It's fairly standard stuff in terms of the story, and it's got a little bit of a wacky setting to add to that. But watching the person beat it, like the person figured out that it was quicker to kill every NPC in the game than to actually complete any of their quests.
Yeah.
I think the person just like went through the first level in like 5. And there was one point where where the person does something to glitch their way into a room, and the developer was just like, "Wait a minute, they can do that?"
Yeah.
It's just like it was hilarious to like listen to their stunned reactions when people were busting the game.
Yeah, there was the I don't know, there was 3 of them anyway, wasn't there? And one of the things they said was that they kind of knew it would become a speedrun game, and so they purposefully left a couple of things in for the speedrunners, I think it was.
Yeah. I'm always a fan of game developers that think about the things their audience will do and don't want you to just play the game we want the game played.
Yeah, exactly. It's left it a bit freeform. And I don't think they would have fixed any of the things that they saw, because none of them broke the game for the normal person. The only person that would ever find these glitches are people who are actively trying to speedrun the game. So it's not doing any harm.
Oh god, the Doom Eternal people. I watched them watch a speed run of their game.
I haven't seen that one.
And the guy is like glitching out and like flying through the air like high above the map. And one of the developers was saying like, we should do something to like troll them. Like we in the next game, like just outside the map up here, just insert a random wall that just says "fuck you," and when they hit it, they fall back into the map and reset. Like, it was hilarious listening to, like, because that's the sort of fucked up shit that like we would think of doing just to fucking mess with people.
Have you seen the one with the Half-Life developers?
I have, yeah. By the way, this is no longer topics. This is just us talking about funny videos we've seen.
Well, it's speedrunning.
Well, it's speedrunning, but really we're just laughing about these videos. All right, go on.
One of the points where the speedrunner obviously couldn't like go any faster than he currently was. He was waiting for something to happen, right? And he just started stacking a chair and a toilet roll and a bookcase on top of it, and just kept piling these things, and then. It just because he was bored, but it was such precise skill. I was like, the developer was like, "What's he doing? Is this some crazy?" Oh no, he's just showing off. Okay, and then a little ways down the world, there's the part with the boat, the hoverboat that goes over the toxic water, and he's like, "Oh, great! This is the mission that it took me months to make." And the guy just flies over it, and he's like, "Oh, that took me months to design that."
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, no, a lot of funny stuff in speedrunning.
Yeah. And it is... I mean, it's quite... They're usually entertaining videos to do, and there's varieties for everyone. There are people... there are versions of speedruns where you can't glitch at all. It's like you have to beat the game, or there's like you have to complete the game with 100% items or something like that.
Yes, there's the normal ones are like any percent, which is just where you complete the game as fast as you can without getting any of the bonus stuff.
Yeah.
There's deathless quite often, where you're not allowed to die. One of my favourites that I've watched a few people do fairly recently, and is quite amazing, is blindfolded runs.
Jesus.
Where they do it was a Mario 64 one, and they needed to complete the entire game. So they do use glitches and things.
Yeah.
But they can't see the screen at all for the whole game, and they have to rely on when you pick up Bowser by the tail and spin him around.
I mean, yes, I do.
Depending on where he's configured, the noise for the whoosh noise when he spins is slightly different. So they can work out where he is and where the bombs are.
God.
That they have to throw him into. It's nutso and amazing.
I mean, it's not... I mean, it's not the same in any capacity, but it's... I remember back in the heyday of Guitar Hero...
oh, yeah.
People memorizing and doing those things without looking, blindfolded. There was... my freshman year of college, we were playing Guitar Hero 3, and we had a wireless guitar, and one of my friends was on bass for this one the song was fairly easy on bass, but he was playing it on expert, and we're in the room playing, and then he just like, all right, I'm gonna go take a walk, and he just walked outside of the dorm room and started walking around the hallway, and the wireless connection kept him connected, and he didn't miss any of the fucking notes.
Really? Holy shit. How do you know when the song started?
The song had started before he left the room.
Oh, okay. Right. Damn, that's style.
Yeah. He was, yeah. It was pretty good. But we all obsessively played that game. That being said, I don't think I could play most of the songs without looking.
No, I don't think I could do any games without looking, to be honest.
Yeah.
I guess games like Beat Saber would probably be the easiest, because it's literally... I mean...
Yeah.
There's less things to think about, because it's mostly just you keep in the beat, and then just... a lot of it is the same notes, you just have to hit them in the right order. Which I guess is like Guitar, but Guitar is a lot faster, I think.
I've always been... not always, but it's something that fascinates me. The kind of drive to master seemingly meaningless skills.
Yeah.
It's but it is a very satisfying thing when you accomplish something. Even if what you accomplish matters to literally no one but you. It's fulfilling in a way.
I mean, if you take those Tetris masters out there, right?
Mm.
They are a sight to behold. Because they are just I guess their cognitive thought process is so fast, so agile, and you're just sitting there and like, what the fuck? How are they doing that? They must be cheating. But it's not a skill you can transfer to anything else. I feel like
it isn't, but there's something to be said about the way it kind of trains your mind to work. Because I wonder about... I was actually wondering about this last night, because I was on with Yi before... we were waiting for Duncan and people to get back, and we were watching T-Pain's stream. T-Pain is a Twitch streamer. He's a gamer now. I can't keep up with real life.
Who's T-Pain?
He's a rapper.
Oh.
So, I'll show you a clip after this, in between segments, because it really is honestly hilarious to watch him. But he was saying, like, in his intro, he was mentioning something about kind of the benefits of letting people play. Like, I can't remember what it was. Oh no, he said, gamers making more than pop stars these days. Parents, let your kids play. Was what he said, and he said it kind of offhand. But it made me think. There probably is a point to be made about mastering certain games the same way mastering a sport or an instrument really helps your mind like develop, and it wires it in a certain way. And I wonder if maybe playing games and playing the right kind of games and actually mastering them, it wires it wires your brain in a way that could be beneficial in real life.
Yeah, like doing lots of puzzle games would help you with thinking outside the box.
Right, problem solving,
scenarios.
lateral thinking.
Well, I've always kind of now this could be just an excuse that I lied to myself with.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of told myself that the games kind of they're a source of creativity, and so when I'm doing designs and things, a lot of my designs aspects come from the games that I play.
Yeah.
Or a lot of the things that I want to maybe draw or create are similar to something that I've seen in the game. So I suppose that's kind of like an outlet I get from it, creative outlet.
It's the same. I've experienced a similar thing, which is why I guess that point resonated with me. In my professional life, like there's a lot of situations where I'm tasked with trying to, solve a problem. I was an engineer for years, and that's a huge part of it. So I feel like, because that's how I approach a video game. Like, you go into a situation and you have to kind of, in a lot of instances, kind of assess what you're looking at very quickly and come up with, potential solutions and then choose one. And if you don't, sometimes you get shot in the face. So I that's the approach I take in my professional life too. Like, it's like, hey, here's a problem, and usually I can like crank out a solution in minutes, if not hours. And I don't know. I personally put that, but again, maybe I'm just lying to myself. I personally put that down to the many hours I spent playing video games growing up, and still to this day.
What about do you think that video games have improved your social skills? Because the reason I'm saying this, there's two reasons actually. For one, because obviously you meet some nice people online, and I mean, hell, that's how I met you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's broadening a network of people that you know. But the thing that originally made me think this thought was putting up with all of the shite you get.
That was the first thing that I thought of
people.
That was literally the first thing I thought of. But yeah, no, and then it does say something that the first thing I thought of was all the shit talking, and then the second thing I thought of was, oh, I've actually met some good people.
Yeah.
I'd say so. I mean, not only that, I feel like it really is it helps you to like thicken your skin a little bit, because a lot of people out there are dicks, and even the people who aren't like purely dicks, they're capable of being a dick. And on the internet, especially on online gaming, you kind of get that in full force. And so it kind of, I think it builds up your tolerance for when stressful and intense situations happen in real life.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it helps with like confrontation. Like, God knows if half the people were like in your room screaming this stuff at you, it would be terrifying. But at least the words that they're saying become dull to you because you hear them every day.
If they were in my room saying that shit, I'd smack them in the face. Like, it wouldn't stay a conversation very long.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it is.
But
that does have its good side.
I think you're right. I think there's a good side. The downside, I think, is you get used to get used to conversation that lacks physical presence and body language. It's something that I've noticed a little bit now, like not so much, but I think coming out of the, because we're obviously still locked down in a lot of parts of the world.
Yeah.
It's something that I think is going to be interesting to look at from like a human communication perspective once the lockdown ends, because people have gotten used to interacting via camera, they've gotten used to interacting via voice almost exclusively. You still get some basic human-to-human interaction, but it's significantly lessened. So, I think what you're saying, to tie it back to this, I think there's a benefit to it, because you do develop communication skills, you get used to people slinging abuse at you, and you also do meet good people a lot of the time. But the downside...
A lot of times a strong word, but yeah.
The downside is that you don't get quite as much of that human-to-human interaction, and like it's staggering how much of our communication is done through subtle gestures and body language. So I think maybe like if you've already lived your life and that part of your brain is developed just fine, but I think there's a definite downside to especially very young people growing up with most of their communication happening online. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That was kind of a long-winded way to make that point, but...
Yeah, no, I actually understand the point. I did have a little bit of a chortle, because when you said subtle body language, and I just thought of segment 3, and I thought it's not going to be very subtle this week.
Yeah, it's not subtle at all, believe me.
But yes, do you have anything else?
No, I think
you want to pull up.
we're kind of at the we're at the 36-minute mark now, so
The pinnacle.
yeah. God damn it. Let's wrap up segment 1 there. Yeah. Any final thoughts before I close this out?
Nope.
All right. Thank you all for listening to the TMCJ podcast. This has been segment 1, our topics segment, and you will hear us again momentarily for segment 2, media. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 2, our media segment, which would normally be kind of a dearth of entertainment this week, because we didn't do
Dearth?
movie night. Dearth? Yes, dearth. As
What's
in
dearth?
dearth is like not
Darth
much.
Vader?
No, not Darth Vader. That would be funny though. I want to
Sounds
see
like
a parody
farmer
character.
version.
I want to see a character called Darth Vader. But no, we didn't do movie night this week, and as Blue told me in the intermission, he didn't really watch anything this week. But here I am to save the day.
Yay, laziness! Go on.
This was what I had basically playing in the background while I was working this week. Because whenever I have to do tedious paperwork, I like to have something on, like, in the background to
Keep your
occupy my
entertained.
mind, yeah, a little bit. There was a series that came out back in the mid-2000s called True Blood.
Heard of it? Not seen it.
It's basically an excuse for HBO to put gratuitous gore and tits on screen.
Ooh, can I make a quick guess?
Okay, what?
Is it about vampires?
Oh, it's about vampires.
Oh, yes!
It's actually...
Blood, tits, it's always, vampires.
I don't want to talk about the series so much. The series... The early seasons were actually pretty entertaining. They were... It was a great series in terms of social commentary.
Okay.
Because it's set in the American South, in Louisiana, I think? Yeah,
Wait, when you say
Louisiana.
Americans... Louisiana, that's still in...
It's
It's
on
not like Brazil.
No. Like the American as in the U.S. American.
Yeah.
The southern coast of the U.S.
That always confused me when I was a kid growing up, because I was like, it's still America. Why isn't it just like... Why don't they... I don't know. Anyway.
It's because of the U.S. It's because
they're united, yes.
No. It's because it's obvious, and I think that's going to be something that is going to become more distinct in the future. But it's just because on the two continents for quite a long time, especially during the Cold War,
Sorry.
Gesundheit, like only the United States was like we were the only country on this continent that people were talking about internationally. That's changed. Like people actually give a crap about several countries throughout the Americas now. It could also just be, Americans are narcissistic, and so we're thinking like, oh, America, that's just us. Forget about that other continent over there.
Stupid question. Is Hawaii part of the U.S. or is
Yes,
it part
it
of
is.
the South?
No,
Okay.
Hawaii is part of the U.S. It is the 50th state.
All right. Is Panama?
No. Although
Panama. Okay. Is that the divide?
Yeah, Panama is the one that is right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the thinnest point, which is why there's a canal that goes through between the two oceans.
Yeah, the famous Panama Canal. But I wasn't sure if that counted as being part of America or counted as...
That canal is also why that country is one of the probably most protected in this hemisphere, because the U.S. basically has a bunch of different treaties that say that anyone who touches that canal is going to be pounded into the dirt. We actually went to war in Panama a few decades ago because the canal was threatened.
Right. Is that purely because of the land border, I take it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the only way for our Navy to get between the continents. Or, like, between the oceans, I should say.
I got you. What, rather than going all the way around?
Yeah, exactly. Rather than sailing around the Earth.
Yeah. CBA!
Anyway, that got way off topic, but
sorry.
So it's set in it's set in Louisiana, so the deep south of the U.S. And again, some of the cultural references are kind of dated, because at the time, it was the transition between George Bush and Obama, and so there was the whole gay marriage debate going on and everything. That is all now tied into the fact that vampires have showed up. And not showed up, but for the first time kind of revealed themselves to be non-human.
Because, vampires love gay rights.
Well, there's... that. I said it was a metaphor, not that that's... but that's the backdrop.
Okay.
Anyway, it's... like I said, some of the cultural references are a bit dated, but the series itself actually is a very decent character drama for most of it. It starts in the later seasons, it starts to get just like the story takes a backdrop and then the rest, and it's really just about gore and tits.
Okay.
But that's not...
At least it's got the gore.
That's not why I bring it up, though, because I don't want to go through a detailed analysis of the series, because it would be a waste of time.
We'd need a lot more fishing puns.
The reason I bring it up is because it's based on a book series. And it's actually the book series that Twilight ripped off.
I was going to say, is this somehow connected to Twilight in
It
some
is
way?
connected to... This book series came out first.
Okay.
The Twilight author ripped off the story and adapted it for horny teenagers. But
yes, okay. As opposed to horny adults, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But the original story is told entirely from the first... well, not the first person, but from the perspective of one character.
Okay.
The main female lead. She is the protagonist of the story. But the HBO adaptation of the show is told from multiple perspectives, and it has like subplots that are mentioned in the books but never elaborated on because that main character doesn't see them happening.
Right, okay, so, sorry, the HBO shows scenes that aren't in the books.
It shows scenes that are mentioned in the books but don't happen directly. They don't happen in front of you in the book. In the book, It's told entirely from one character's perspective, but the show is told from about a dozen characters' perspectives.
Okay, so maybe she comes across someone and they're like, did you see what happened over there?
Yeah, she is still, even in the show, she is still the focal point. Like, all the events rotate around her. She is the main character. But there are a whole bunch of, like, little subplots that happen and things on the show. The reason...
I mean, I guess... Sorry.
The reason I bring that up is because on kind of a second watch-through, while I was kind of had it on the background this week, I started to notice there are quite a few characters that seem to behave in a very bipolar manner. Like they're kind and understanding, one scene or one season, and the next season they're like a psychotic killer, or they have like they're raging against something.
Yeah. Okay.
Like one scene they're a coward, the next scene they're a brave hero, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of development around it. And what I started to notice was all the scenes with that girl in them, the characters behave the most consistently. And that made me think that the people who were adapting the book to the show, they were given like a lot of latitude when they weren't pulling directly from the book. And so the result is, with any scene that she's not in, the characters start behaving kind of erratically because they're not following the book.
Right, it's just like another story trapped inside the original.
Exactly, yeah. So I was thinking about that. An adaptation from a book that's mostly in the first person, right, around one character, being adapted to a format where you're looking at a bunch of different characters and different perspectives. Anyway, I kind of rambled a little bit there. You wanted to jump in a couple times. I want to know your thoughts.
So I assume they did that to kind of when you said that they kind of added in the scenes that you wouldn't have seen in the books.
Yeah,
I assume that's to keep the show fresh, because then even the people who have read the books can be like, we never saw what happened. This is actually quite interesting to see what happened behind the scenes, kind of thing. Maybe.
I wouldn't. You know what? I think that
what do you
a lot
think
of
alienated them.
I wouldn't know. I don't know anyone who read the books first.
Okay.
A friend of mine and I, we watched these shows on TV when they came out, back in the mid 2000s. But I believe she actually read the first couple books after we watched the show, and that's how I found out that it was mostly told through the perspective. It was all told through the perspective of this one girl in the story.
Right.
Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have known that. But from what I think it's less to add things for that. That's why I think it's less to add things for a recurring audience who has read the books, and more because if they did the entire thing from one perspective, it wouldn't have been very entertaining TV.
Okay.
I think by having all this diverse cast of characters with different interests and goals and all these subplots going on, it made it much more entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably would, because it's more content. Yeah, do you think it... So, was it... I'm trying to get a grip on what kind of category it would fall into. So, I assume it's not like a horror, right?
No, although there are quite a bit of horrifying and very gory moments in it.
Okay.
It's
so,
more...
I mean, vampires classically are horror, but they've kind of become not horror in recent years.
Oh, they're portrayed as fairly horrifying. Like, there's just off the top of my head, I can think of one character who, in multiple episodes, rips out a person's throat, punches a person's heart out, bites and, like, is essentially, banging someone while people bleed out next to him. Like, it's...
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of classic vampire, yeah.
It is, and so it's very much in the category of classic vampire. It's not the...
Stuff that you wouldn't get in Twilight, really.
Yeah, it's not the sparkle vampires from Twilight.
Yeah, okay. Because, like I said, vampires there used to be nothing really attractive about a vampire. I mean, look at Nosferatu. He was an ugly son of a bitch.
Well, they don't go in that perspective. Basically, the vampires in this series, they're like, basically, however they were as humans, they remain that way exactly. So if you were a lazy fat ass as a human, you're a lazy fat ass as a vampire. Well, you look that way.
Yeah, you'd still be like... I take it they still have, like, the superhuman strength and
superhuman strength and speed. Some of them can fly. They can hypnotize people.
Right.
The one big twist is that their blood, if human beings drink it, it gives them like extra strength and vitality and heals any sort of injuries that they might have.
It's a bit weird considering humans generally can't drink blood without getting infected by some kind of disease.
Yeah, I again, that's the one kind of deviation they take from the classic idea of what a vampire can do and is.
Yeah. In this universe, vampire blood equals Red Bull.
Yes, essentially.
It gives you wings.
Oh my god. But
yeah.
it is a very interesting series. I enjoy it, but having watched it now in 2021, I'm like, okay. You can tell that the cultural references, they are 12 years old, and that what is it? I started to see, like I said, I started to see some of the cracks around the storytelling.
Is the story any good, actually? Because so far
Yes.
we've heard about blood and tits, and that's it.
Yes, especially in the early seasons, it's very good. Like, the characters are well written and well realized, barring the little inconsistencies that I noticed sometimes. Like, when I'm just watching a character do something, I'm like, why the fuck are they doing that? But
okay.
otherwise, it's really well written. Like, they all seem very human. They have very human motivations, even... But again, that's the early seasons. In the later seasons, things start to get a little more wonky. Like...
Yeah. Plot contrivances. Things
yeah.
that needed to push the plot forward.
Exactly. There's a lot more of that in the later seasons. But
Yeah.
in the earlier ones, yeah, it's very well written. And I'd highly recommend the first probably 2 to 3 seasons.
Okay.
As a decent watch. But once it gets later in the series, you're mainly just watching to see how it ends. Like, there's 7 seasons, and I've never seen season 7.
Right.
I've only seen up to the end of season 6, and it's because I was getting so tired and disinterested by the end of the 6th season. I was just like, whatever.
Sounds like me and Sons of Anarchy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, just to round out that particular topic, top 2 best things and top 2 worst things about it, in case other people want to give it a look or a read.
Well, one of the top... I'm going to try to think of something that's not sexual.
Not tits.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That was going to be in my top 2. There's a lot of very beautiful women without the shirts on in that series.
Okay, but without that, yeah.
I find their...
Actually, no, it'd be inclusive if... Are there also attractive men in it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well then you...
Like, that's the thing. If you... It doesn't matter which way you swing, or, like, what... kind of what gender you're attracted to. There are plenty of sexy dudes. There are plenty of sexy chicks. But I think one of the best things is the pacing of the story. Like, the way they kind of... It naturally grows from just this small town situation with small town concerns to a point in the 5th season where it's got like global conspiracy level shit going on.
Right.
And it does it very naturally. Like, thinking back, like, if you just look at end of season 5 and beginning of season 1, you're like, how the hell did that happen? But it's a very natural progression.
Yeah, kind of like with Peaky Blinders, how they start out, it's just like the fight over Birmingham, and by a couple of seasons later, it's like the whole of England.
Right, exactly. Now they're getting involved in international politics.
Yeah. Birmingham. Sorry.
Birmingham. Told me you're
And the
all
two
bad
natives.
men. Sorry, I love that accent. There's another good thing probably is the special effects in it. Moving away from the story, the special effects in it are very good. Like, especially for the time. Like, it's very well done. How they do pretty believable looking, like, ways to make the vampires seem fast and strong, and they do a very good job. Like, the gore, if that's your thing, is very realistic looking. Like, to the point where some scenes to the point where some scenes are genuinely disturbing. So So if you're you're faint-hearted about blood, don't watch this show.
I mean, to be fair, you don't. I mean, neither of us are great with gore.
Well, right.
So if you're able to sit through it, I imagine I must be fine with it.
Yeah, it's because I'm fine with gore as long as there's a point. I mean, I had to take classes in college and I had to do surgery on animals.
Yeah.
But
I think we all have to do at some point.
well, living animals,
Oh, okay, maybe not.
not dissections. I had to do open heart surgery on a rat as part of a class. And it, like, again, it bothers me. I think it's unhealthy if that sort of thing doesn't bother you. But I can deal with gore if there's a point. So, this one, the story and everything and the character development, like the gore, this is one of the problems I have in the later seasons. Gore seems to happen just for the sake of having it. But in the earlier seasons, when it happens, it's shocking and poignant, and it serves a purpose in the story.
Yeah.
So those top two good things, top two bad things, well, I've already said. Some of the characters act very inconsistently, especially in the later seasons, when their own subplots start to develop away from probably what the original book had. Another bad thing, on occasion, they will do things in the story that seems to just be trying to make like a cultural point.
Right.
And again,
yeah.
if you didn't like live through the mid 2000s, a lot of those cultural points won't make any sense today because our
Was it? Sorry.
no, go on.
I thought you were going to say, is it kind of an ethics push like they did with Doctor Who?
It's not as ham-fisted as Doctor Who. There are some ethical points they do make, but they handle it relatively fairly for the most part. I don't know. They take it. I can't really do it justice. And again, it's mostly because I've watched the series twice now. The first watch through, you probably won't even notice it. And if you weren't old enough to pay attention to that sort of stuff in the mid 2000s, then you probably won't notice it either. But
Okay,
yeah,
well.
so that's good and bad. I'm trying to think of anything else bad. And I guess the other bad thing, because I won't belabor the cultural point too much, is just that it does taper off near the end.
Yeah.
It starts off strong and then kind of runs out of steam.
Does it have a good ending though? Like an actual ending?
I haven't seen the ending yet. So
Okay.
I fully intend, now that I've rewatched a good chunk of the series, to watch season 7 for the first time.
Right. Yes, you said you got that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've never seen it. I stopped at season 6, and I actually got to the end of season 6 this week.
Okay, so the TLDR. Watch the first few seasons. We suggest.
And if you really
still
get-
like it, keep watching.
Yeah,
Otherwise-
exactly. If you really give a crap about the characters, which I found myself actually liking the characters enough to power through, even when it started to get kind of dull.
And maybe next week, if Kaiser does finish the season by then, we might have an answer as to whether it's worth sticking it out or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, was there was another media thing you had?
There was. So I, not to go a week without talking about this, but I've continued to watch The Expanse.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
almost done with it.
Oh my god, how
The
many
Expanse
seasons?
There are 5 seasons, and I'm
5 seasons.
halfway through season 5. As of last night, I just finished episode 5 of season 5. So
Is it building to a crescendo?
every season does in this series.
Yeah.
Season 4, I think, was their first kind of misstep. It's still really, really good, but they kind of deviated away from the things that I really liked watching the series for.
Right. Okay.
So, for instance, season 1, 2, I talked up a lot about how I think they do a very good job portraying the politics of this future world, where like Mars and Earth are in a Cold War, and they've got all the asteroid belts that are basically like frontier people who are sick of being controlled. Season 4 takes place on an exoplanet, like a planet outside the solar system. Mostly, they still do a little bit with the inner Martian politics and whatnot, and Earth.
Yeah.
But it's not the focal point. In season 5, they get back to that, and I'm really enjoying season 5, like so far.
Okay. Oh yeah.
All my favorite characters. I will say this again and again and again. The thing I love about this series is the writing. Like, the characters are written so well, and like the plot, like, it fits together. I never hit a point, or I can't think of a point in the series where something happened and I'm like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's all very, very well put together. And the sci-fi, again, is very realistic and believable.
This is like the third or fourth week you've spoken about The Expanse, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. I think I kind of feel obliged to watch it now, really, because you've given it such a sparkling review.
And that's the thing. My review has stayed consistent through every season. It's taken me this long to get through it too, because unlike a lot of shows, I don't have it on in the background. Like,
right.
It's engaging enough that I am literally sitting on my couch and watching it and doing nothing else. So that normally, even shows that I'm interested in, I'm usually fiddling with something on my tablet, playing like a game or something else while the show's on.
Over the last couple of weeks, there have been several times where I've been like, "Oh, Kai, do you want to come and do something?" And you're like, but I'm getting near the end of an Expanse episode, so
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh god, the show's so good, I'm putting off my friends.
So yeah, God, I'll have to watch it. And then I can blank you for a week or two.
Where'd Blue go? Oh, he's watching The Expanse.
Yep. Oh, man. I'm excited.
I think it's actually based on a book series, too. So
yeah?
I'm not sure if I want to pick them up, but I may, just to see how things are.
Is it on Audible?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I just know that it's based on a book series.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay, so you know how we do that segment, long story short, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I was really struggling for, like, I can't remember any stories, right? I completely forgot the 60-odd books that I have downloaded and listened to on Audible. There's all those books that I could have spoken about, so I am so ready for the next one. Holy shit.
You know what? I actually completely forgot about some of the books that I had too. I've got the one I could have done was the Count of Monte Cristo. That was actually a good book.
Well, like, okay, like 80% of the books are Terry Pratchett books. So I mean, it kind of feels like cheating if I just go through the Terry Pratchett books in order. But yeah, there's some really weird ones, like Phantom of the Opera. I could have done. That would have been great.
Looking through, yeah, I've got quite a few books on here. A lot of books that I haven't read yet.
Yes, you. Because I was also thinking about the book that I've been begging you to read.
It's
for so
downloaded.
Long you've got. I know.
I have to get to it now that I'm done with the book that we're going to be talking about next segment.
Well, exactly. I suppose I did get you to read a book technically. Oh man, would you recommend that book?
You know what? I will save that for the next segment because there were parts of it that I actually liked.
Yeah.
And not.
Oh wait, don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get into it next segment.
Holy shit! I'm excited.
I was surprised at how much effort they put into some of the background to the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that I found when I was reading the book a month ago. There was very little back. I wanted to know more about the lore and the history of the land.
And you know what?
No.
They go into the lore and history in this. That's why I liked it. That's the bit that I liked about it. I shouldn't say that's not why I liked it. The book itself. Oh, I'm gonna save this for next segment. By the way, for those that are, their appetites whetted, they're curious.
Oh, not wetted, not wetted.
I used that turn of phrase on purpose. So next segment, as we teased last week, I'm going to be going over a certain spicy audiobook involving dinosaurs. Blue did the last one, and now it was my turn.
Yep.
So
Your
that's
turn to face the range.
yeah, that's what's coming up.
Yeah.
God help us all.
So was there any other media you had?
Let me think. Oh, you know what? I did have one last thing regarding media, and this is appropriate because it's probably only going to last for a few minutes, and that's all we really have left in the segment.
Challenge accepted.
Oh, Jesus. So, while I was watching The Expanse on Amazon Prime, you know what Amazon has? They put up ads for their own shit on videos now.
Right, okay.
So, like, before a video, you'll get an ad for one of their other shows. You can skip them, but they're still annoying.
Yeah.
I remember, actually, when they first started putting those ads on, I submitted so many complaints. Like, every time one popped up, I submitted a complaint. They gave me a $10 gift card just so I would stop submitting complaints.
Wow. Wait, hang on. Sorry, you were complaining about what?
The fact that Amazon was putting ads on a video. I thought it was stupid. I'm like, I have a Netflix account. They don't put ads on the videos that they put up. Like, this is stupid. I'm already paying for the service.
That is kind of ridiculous.
It annoyed the crap out of me, but it's their standard practice now, so whatever.
You should have just kept complaining and be like, I'm waiting for the $100 bill at least.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so it just, I don't think that'll work now. That was back in, like, 2016 or 2017, I think.
Right.
Whenever
it
they
does seem
first started
odd, though, that you're getting ads on paid content.
Yeah, but I guess, to an extent, it makes sense. They're advertising their own stuff if they want to tell people, hey, watch our other shows. The problem is, a lot of their other shows are crap.
Yeah, I mean, are they skippable?
Yes, they're skippable.
Okay. Can you ad block them?
No. Especially not on the Xbox, which is where I'm watching.
Shoot.
So
not
anyway,
that I use ad block.
But that's not the topic that I was talking about. I noticed one of the shows, I didn't have my controller in hand, so I wasn't able to quickly skip it. And it was some piece of crap show that they have, and it came up with the little tagline. I shouldn't say... Amazon, like Netflix, is wildly inconsistent with the quality of their shows. They're either really, really good, like The Expanse, or like, what's the superhero one that we were prattling on about a few months ago?
Oh my god.
I only remember Homelander.
Homelander. Yes, Homelander. No.
The Homelander's the name of the Superman.
Oh,
animal.
The Boys.
The Boys. The Boys, The Expanse, very good shows. But then they have other ones that are just kind of crap.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the ones that I think looks really bad came up in an ad, and then it's like, acclaimed by the New York Times, and 5 stars by this, and I couldn't help but think that just tells me everything I need to know. This show's crap. Like, well,
there you go. It's doing your service. It's telling you that things crap.
We're getting to the point now, or at least I'm getting to the point, where I see celebrity endorsements and like big media company endorsements as a negative.
Yeah, like they're trying to hide something by putting a shiny sticker on top.
Exactly. Like it's like when you see a video game and it's got like a billion 10 out of 10 reviews from IGN and GameSpot. I'm like, wow, this game probably sucks.
Yeah, no, I don't trust any of those. Like, I trust kind of user reviews, and when I'm buying a new Steam game, I'll quite often look at the comments, and if there's a problem with the game, believe me, they will say it in capital letters.
I think it's become just a commonly accepted thing that
they're corrupt, yeah.
Well, not that they're corrupt, but exactly that. Like, IGN is never going to give you an honest review, but if you go to like, that's why a lot of people like listen to individual game reviewers on YouTube or other platforms, because they're not necessarily tied to these big companies. The famous one is that dude that worked for GameSpot, who gave Kane and Lynch like a really shitty review. Not even really shitty, just he was like, he didn't like the game. And because the publisher advertised on GameSpot, they complained, and GameSpot fired the dude.
Wow.
Like, I can't remember his name, but it was a big controversy a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, as we are kind of our own bosses on this platform, basically, we can pretty much say whatever the fuck we want.
Oh, yeah.
And hey, if someone wants to advertise us to play their game, great, brilliant, we love it, but we're not going to lie.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that, yeah, I mean, it's integrity. You gotta...
You can't polish a turd, and we're not going to pretend like it's something it isn't.
But, and if you are ever, like, paid to review things, I like how YouTube has that feature to say this contains a paid promotion or something like that.
Yeah. I like how, have you seen the Yogscast's answer to that?
No, I haven't.
So, the one of the founders of the Yogscast, Lewis, he went out into the park that's next to the office building with a megaphone and just screamed at a camera from across the park saying, "This is a paid promotion, by the way." And that's at the beginning of all their videos that have the paid promotion.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but one thing I thought you were going to bring up, which you didn't, was when they advertise things that are so different to the content that you're watching, right? So,
yeah,
I used to watch a lot of Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was Crunchyroll anyway. And I think I was watching something like aggregates something. Okay. I can't remember. It's like
some anime.
A red panda.
Some weeb trash.
Yeah, it's a red panda that does prog rock when she's getting frustrated to calm herself down. And it's just chibi, it's anime, it's super cutesy. And then every quarter of a video, it'd be wait, there's an advert you've got to watch. Pause the fucking cutesiness. We got to show you something that me and Alicia came to regard as the creepy grandma advert.
Oh my god.
Where it's it was a horror advert. It was what's the word for real life production?
Live action?
Live action horror of this young girl that goes to stay with her grandparents or something, and her grandparents are serial killers.
It's like advertising fucking makeup in the middle of Monday Night Football.
It's really gruesome though, and it completely offsets you from this adorable red panda to creepy grandma.
Oh my god. Hey look, here's some twee. Here's some body horror.
Yeah. It's is this where the anime is going? Is this why it's putting this kind of content out?
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, sorry, I thought that was where you were going with it.
Japan's interesting in I can't remember what, I think it's the manga My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
I've
heard a lot about it. I haven't seen it.
I've seen little bits and pieces. Scott and Mass had me watching it a few years ago.
Of course.
But that's not why I brought it up. Though I think it was that one. But a single issue of that manga outsold the entire comic book industry in the US from either DC or Marvel. I can't remember which one. But an entire company's comic book output was outsold by a single manga. Yeah.
To be fair though, nowhere in the world has popular comics like Japan has popular comics.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, it's still pretty high production, high quality stuff.
I mean, it's like any sport career or pop star career kind of thing. Unless you're doing the best, I feel like you don't get paid that much. But if you're one of these top tier animes like One Piece, Bleach, Hero Academia, then yeah, you absolutely make the big bucks. And so
Dragon Ball Z
in Deedles.
Next time on the TMCJ. No, I'm sorry. I love the endings for Dragon Ball Z are fucking. That voice actor.
Maybe we should do something like that for the podcast.
Yeah, I could do the announcer
next
voice.
Time on the podcast.
This time on the TMCJ podcast. All right,
Dino porn.
we are clearly running out of ideas for this segment.
We are.
So let's end it there.
Yeah.
Let's just end it there. All right. This is going to be the end of segment 2 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear my emotional sorrow momentarily.
Dulcet tones. Yeah.
God.
Please don't go away and stay to listen for the third segment of this week's podcast.
Yeah. You will regret it. Alright, I'm cutting it off there. We're done.
Go.
This is the end of segment 2.
See you in segment
We're stopping.
3.
Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 3, our wildcard segment, and this week we are doing what is worryingly become a repeating segment.
Yeah, second edition.
Yeah. So, the background, early on in the podcast, we made a joke about listening to dinosaur erotica audiobooks, or just basically weird, shitty audiobooks in general. And it was demanded that we follow through with that. Blue did the first one. And,
I got off easy, I have to say. Mine was only like 24 minutes long.
yeah, mine was an hour.
Yeah.
So, it was my turn this week. He had Ravaged by the Triceratops. I had Pimp Dino.
No. Ravished.
Ravished. Okay. Ravished. Excuse me, I was putting a V in there. Wait, no.
God.
A G.
You can't murder a classic book like that, Kaiser.
Yeah, clearly not. So this time I had Pimp Dino, which the cover art is just like peak first day using Photoshop.
That'll be on the thumbnail, you can bet.
Oh god, it is actually. The cover actually entertained me. I won't lie.
Yeah.
What I will say that it's just as bad as you might have imagined, but B, this book actually had some interesting lore to it, which is something I was not expecting. I don't know what I expected in particular, but
More in depth than the Horus Heresy?
no, oh yeah, no, exactly. The God Emperor shows up. No, he doesn't. Yeah, what I think I'm going to do before I get into the story, I'm going to talk about the lore because it was the one part of the book that actually made me want to keep listening. So sometime in the 25th century, human beings developed time travel.
Oh, okay.
And they use it to send scouts back to prehistoric Earth because they've found that there's diamonds available just lying on the surface before they're buried. And so they send a scout back.
Factually incorrect, I think. But
what?
Go on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, don't think about the sci-fi elements. I'm just fascinated that there was lore.
Yeah. There's like 3 genres already.
Yeah, so they send her back in time. She's supposed to scout out, get the diamonds, and then send them back. At which point they'll send a mining team back in time with her to grab the rest of the diamonds and then go back. And these are supposed to be diamonds that were either, like, flung off the earth or were never historically supposed to be there. They couldn't dig for the diamonds because if they dug for them, that would affect history. They put a surprising amount of thought into this. And then because the future is kind of dystopian. Like, people live in these giant hive cities and dormitories, similar, actually, to Warhammer.
So hang on, sorry. So taking something off the surface of the planet wouldn't affect history, but digging a little on the planet would affect history.
Exactly, because the meteor hits the surface and destroys everything. I think that's where they were going with this. The meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
Right, okay. So it becomes worthless after the point of impact.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
What? Sorry.
That's pretty much the extent of the lore. I found myself wanting to know more about the future, like the future Earth. Like, I was like, this is actually a decent setup for a sci-fi novel.
This is Cyberpunk Part 2.
Yeah, clearly. I think the woman who wrote this was actually on the writing team for Cyberpunk.
Except now we're sending back Keanu Reeves.
Oh my god! I'm
Anyway.
just thinking of like John Wick fighting dinosaurs
Oh my god.
in this genre with his dick.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the backstory. That is the extent of the lore, and I did find the little bits of internal monologue from the characters thinking about the lore very interesting. Oh, dinosaur lore. Dinosaurs are all psychic.
Oh.
They can read minds and then project like emotions and things to and from each other.
Do they understand modern day English?
Not spoken. Well, not really. They interpret it by reading the minds of humans.
So they understand modern
They
day
understand
English.
the intent, not necessarily the words.
Okay.
So, here's the plot. Woman goes back in time as a scout for a mining expedition from future Earth to find diamonds. While she's back there searching for the diamonds, she comes across a abandoned dinosaur baby. That's a hybrid between a Tyrannosaurus and an Allosaurus.
Oh, those raunchy dinosaurs.
And then she essentially raises the dinosaur herself.
Okay.
Also part of the lore, because in the future only like days are going to pass, but in the past like years are going to pass. Everyone who goes back in time gets special augmentation so that they can live exceptionally long, like 400 years long.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So, over the course of 18 years, it has to be 18 years because she does things with this dinosaur later.
Oh. The child that she raised.
Yes. Don't think about it. It's
Okay,
already
yeah.
interspecies. It can't get worse.
Okay. I guess we're not going with what was the word? Changing the wording.
I will change the wording a little bit.
Okay.
I do plan to do that, but I don't plan to be quite as euphemistic as you were.
Okay, that's fair.
So she raises this dinosaur while on her quest to find the diamonds.
Okay, so they're not just like everywhere.
They're not just everywhere. There's a specific location where they've kind of scouted them out and know where they are generally, but she's trying to
Right.
find that location.
And after 18 years, she still hasn't found. Okay,
It takes her 18 years to find them.
Okay.
That's a very important plot point for legal reasons.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Sorry, yep.
You're getting what I'm laying down. All right.
I got you.
So they make a big point that the dinosaurs are all psychic and they can kind of enhance each other's experience of things.
Right. Yep. Okay. Yep.
And so
I got it.
her first encounter with this is during the dinosaur procreation season.
Okay. Yep. Dino puberty.
They do a no. Just like, you know how every year animals go through.
Okay. There's a particular time of year.
Exactly. They jump and they dance and then they do something spicy together.
Yeah. They make tacos.
They make tacos together, but their psychic ability makes it so everyone feels everyone else making tacos.
I wasn't ready for that. Sorry, a sec.
Okay. Recover. We're professionals here.
Professional. Go on.
So, she joins in this particular, Mexican food making exercise.
Yep, this bake-off. Yep.
Using a literal dinosaur bone that belonged to the father of the baby dino that she...
Okay, so she found its father. Yep.
No.
Okay. Yeah,
No, he's dead.
Yeah.
It's an actual bone, a literal bone.
So when she found the baby originally, the father was dead. Next to her.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's why
gotcha.
it was abandoned. And
What happened to the mother?
after, I don't know, they don't mention her.
Ooh, potential for episode 2.
There could be. I mean, maybe she comes back. Maybe that could be the plot hook for the next book. I don't know.
Getting in with the stepmom.
I honestly really want to know more about the plot of this, the backstory. I want to know about Future Earth. Anyway, so after the requisite amount of years, the taco season takes full swing, and her and the dinosaur that she's been raising partner up in very vivid detail.
Yeah.
And to the point where, first of all, in this book, dinosaurs have hair or fur.
Okay, yeah. That's kind of not difficult to. Yeah.
I said in the interim that I took notes on this book.
Yeah. Dinosaurs used to have feathers, didn't
they? Scientists are saying that dinosaurs had feathers, but no one really knows. They're just guessing based on the fact that modern day birds are similar to dinosaurs. The same way they were guessing before that they were scaly and everything like that. No one knows for sure. What I wrote was, why are the dinosaurs hairy? And then follow-up note, oh god, their fur is rainbow colored.
Is it? Is it really?
It is rainbow colored fur.
Oh my god, the most tactical camouflage, rainbow.
Half my notes are just me going like, oh, is this actually what's happening right now?
And so we're talking about every single color of the rainbow.
They didn't specify, but they said specifically rainbow-colored fur.
Okay, right. So we've got a 60s dinosaur.
In fact, we have a pimp dino.
Oh, shit, yeah. Bam, brought it back.
So, eventually, and what I will say is that she has a hover car in the past.
In the past?
Well, she brings it back in time with her. And that's how she scouts for the diamond. What?
How do you get fuel?
I don't know. It's probably run off of some kind of futuristic space bullshit. They don't specify the fuel. They just specify that she has a hover car.
Yeah. Gotta cram a bit more bullshit into the fuel tank.
So, they I mean, maybe it's like No Man's Sky, and they just, like, blow up a tree and they get some carbon and shove it in the tank.
Grab crystals and,
Anyway, but she prefers to ride on the spiny back of her dino companion because it's, stimulating.
Yeah, okay. Hang on, wait, are we talking, like, Spinosaurus spines? Because those things
No.
huge.
We're talking about, like,
just like a
ridged.
Exaggerated backbone.
Yeah, like ridged, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Anyway, also the dinosaur's name is Timmy.
Oh god, that's so much worse.
His name is Timmy. She named him after a previous companion she had from the future.
Right, so she's cheating. Oh my god.
No. They address this in the lore. The culture in the future is that because of overpopulation and because of scarce resources, they've gone full communist. They've done away with families and the idea of that. Also,
if it's overpopulated, surely you don't want people going around banging everything.
I assume they find a way to resolve that through control methods.
Okay.
But the I will get to that, why that is and everything later, because that's part of the plot. Anyway, so one day, she decides to leave her hover car behind and ride Timmy to a location, and she's found that he's actually very good at mining. Like, he hits a rock and, oh, look, gold, or something like that. But one day while doing this, they discover a valley that is just coated in diamonds.
Okay.
So she contacts the future using whatever communication method she has and sends back some samples. At which point they're like, oh, yay, you found them. And they apparently think she's gone crazy because she says that dinosaurs are psychic. So they send the mining team back. And the mining team is composed of a couple of her old like bunkmates, because they all lived in like communal housing in the future because there's like overpopulation and no room.
Right.
And like she introduces them to her dino companion. They're kind of afraid and trepidatious at first, but she proves that they are psychic.
Okay.
And almost
Surely
immediately,
the dinosaur can just make them pacify them by just like mind zapping them.
in theory, he could have, but that's not what
Okay.
happens. What happens instead is they set up camp, and they because they're going to be there for years to get all the diamonds back.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, first night we can just, screw around. And they drink a booze called, it was something, it was a combination of some kind of a liquor and ambrosia. And I can't remember exactly what they called it in the book.
Ambrosia, the custard.
No, ambrosia was the drink of the gods in Greek mythology.
It's custard in England.
Well, it's probably named after that. In Greek mythology, ambrosia was essentially like the wine of the gods.
Yeah.
It was a mythical beverage. Anyway, doesn't matter. They drink this thing that is apparently, it serves dual purpose as an intoxicant and an aphrodisiac.
Of course it is, yeah. I mean, I don't think they even need that, really.
Yeah, so they spend the first night, all of the human people, getting right in line with the food preparation along with the dinosaurs. Not
Okay, so
not
they
with the
just accept-
dinosaurs, with each other, I should say. The
Oh,
humans.
okay, right,
the
yeah.
humans with each other. But the dinosaur is nearby and uses his psychic powers to make it more awesome.
Am I sensing tacos?
Oh, yes. Tacos with so many jalapenos.
No, that's a spicy mix.
So that goes on, at which point, like, the people are, like, kind of worried, kind of hesitant about all this, because other dinosaurs want to get on in the action too. But Timmy won't let them without the humans' permission. Or without his
Right,
permission.
I get how this is coming around to being a pimp thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Gotcha.
At which point, the female contingent of the mining crew are all on board, but the male contingent aren't. At which point, the lead dude reminds them all that they will partner with people of any gender. And they have in the future.
Okay.
And so it turns into a very, very uncomfortable scene for me, because I don't swing this way, but I had to listen to a very,
Oh, yeah, okay.
very detailed description
Yep.
of,
Of taco on taco.
yeah, some male taco
Yeah.
making.
Yep.
At which point, they give way, and then there's some male on dino taco making, and then it just turns into a fucking fiesta. Let's call it that.
Okay, real question though, I think it's on everyone's lips. Are any burritos made? Like, several months down the line?
No, nothing like that. Although they do a title drop near the end. She remembers an educational video that she saw on like the archives going back into the past, about the movie Pimp.
Oh, I think you say Jurassic Park.
And
Yeah, okay,
the
cool.
dinosaur psychically reads that information from her mind and kind of likes the idea.
Okay. So he's a businessman now. Timmy is a
No,
businessman.
not a businessman. It's all for the greater good. Like just
The greater good.
letting everyone enjoy themselves and make better tacos.
Okay, I see. So,
And that's the way the book ends.
oh, okay. So they don't actually ever bring any diamonds back because they're too busy making tacos.
Well, presumably they're going to spend the next few years bringing the diamonds back. I know. I was disappointed
Okay.
too, because I wanted more like stuff like that. that. I want to like, oh yeah, we brought the
Yeah, I
diamonds
mean-
back, and it upset the world's economy, and now in the 2600s, there's some other political. I would.
They found the Valley of Diamonds.
Yeah, I'm confused. I want to know why they needed the diamonds, because you can make synthetic diamonds now. So in 2500, of course, they should be able to make them much easier. So why were these raw diamonds so important? These are the things I cared about that the book didn't answer.
Like you said, with the real synthetic diamonds, they're not nearly as valuable, are they?
They're not nearly as valuable, but functionally, they're the same.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're just like a high-end jewelers in the future.
Maybe future
With
Earth.
some dark secrets.
Maybe future Earth is just the diamond district of the universe.
Maybe.
Anyway, so that's the whole book.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Maybe the dinosaurs' taco sauce forms diamonds.
Oh God! You just reminded me of
That
another.
was really rank.
No, you just reminded me of another scene.
Oh God, really?
Oh God! I'm dreading looking at my Amazon recommendations after this.
Yeah, I haven't actually got. It didn't give me any weird recommendations.
Oh,
maybe because I've watched.
Let me
so many
read
other
you
books.
some of the recommendations I got after finishing it this morning. By the way, I started listening to this yesterday and I finished it this morning.
Right.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, I already backed off it. I can't see them anymore. But just from the cover art, I remember... Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh. Yep, Kingdom of Moaning.
Okay.
God, whatever. It looks like a fantasy version of this. I'm not going to just look at my phone during this, because that's just dead air time.
Yeah, sorry. I too was looking at weird audiobooks.
It just... Oh, God.
The thing is, it's book 2 of a series, so I'm like, maybe there are going to be answers.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe there is more to it. Maybe there's like... I don't know. I should also point out the author of this book's pen name made me laugh.
Yeah.
She's referred to as Pornelope.
I just found the first book in the series, and it's the exact same icon, like the same picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except he doesn't have the pimp hat and cane.
Like I said, it was like somebody's first day with Photoshop when they made these covers.
Yeah, and I think it only goes up to 2. I don't think she's released a 3rd.
Honestly, but again, I found myself fascinated with the lore of this. There was a surprising amount of thought put into, like, backstory, character development, motivations. For an hour-long book, like, again, I listened to it on audiobook. For an hour-long audiobook, there was a surprising amount of depth.
Yeah.
Granted, a large portion of the runtime was dedicated to the taco making, but
Yeah.
they I don't know. I was impressed. I'll put it that way. I came in with low expectations and honestly a little bit of dread.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's still fucking. It's. I don't want to say that word, but it's. We wouldn't normally go to these kinds of books, is obvious to say.
But I think to bring it back to kind of a broader, positive perspective, I think that's a good portion of this, or a good outcome of this kind of endeavor that we've taken. Where we're going to media or things, like bits of the world that we wouldn't normally look at, and probably a lot of people listening wouldn't normally look at.
Nope.
So you're getting a perspective into, like, a peek into a world unseen.
Yeah, a peak that you might not have wanted to see, but now you've seen it, you can't quite forget it.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and I will say, I'll tell you more off podcast, but That scene at the end did make me like uncomfortable to listen to say the
Right.
least.
Okay.
I like there were multiple points, even the parts that were of my own persuasion still were kind of uncomfortable to listen to. I'm sorry. I actually used to read like when I was in middle school. There was a few
Yeah.
books that I remember reading that were like this. They were erotic short stories or novels.
Yeah.
And some of the more well written ones I actually really enjoyed. And they have the spicy scenes, but
Yeah.
if they're well written and well executed and fit into the story, they're really nice. And like when I say really nice, I mean like enjoyable to read.
Yeah. I mean, they don't all have to be like head scratchers where it's a deep, interesting lore.
Yeah.
I suppose.
I guess especially in the media segment, I talk up my interest in like complex and interesting characters and depth and moral ambiguity, but sometimes there's satisfaction in just I shouldn't have used that word.
No, you shouldn't have used that word.
Sometimes there is something to be said about a simple, straightforward story that is just really enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah. Well, have you got? I assigned you this one. Have you got anything that I need to do next time?
You know what? I
the
haven't
next
thought
big
about it.
question.
I'm going to try and find something though. I don't know. Maybe I'll give you some knockoff Twilight erotica to read.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we need
maybe
to.
maybe
go
we
on.
should broaden our perspectives.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Maybe we should move away from dinosaurs, perhaps, or
Like
the other way.
although
Um,
I won't lie, I really want to know what happens if this story
in the
keeps
first
going.
one. Well, I see. She released the first and second books in 2018, and she's not released any others since. So
That's unfortunate. I
I
mean,
don't think you're gonna get it. But...
also I should say this in the pod. I paid $5 for this.
Oh, I was looking down at some of the comments on it.
Yeah.
Someone said I received this free copy audiobook at my request. So maybe if you just ask the person, we might get free ones in future.
I mean, I fully intend to put a review up on Amazon for this thing. I don't review products that I like on Amazon typically, but I will review this.
Yes. Well, like, yeah, we need to we still haven't made a proper account just for this kind of like the.
We
What's the
do
word I'm
need
looking
to make TMCJ podcast accounts on multiple platforms, I think.
Yeah. Not least on this, so I don't get.
Oh,
this
speaking of the
properly
podcast,
off.
little
Go on.
bit of a shameless self-plugging here. Blue has made new art for the podcast in terms of our
Yes.
icon and our splash art for Twitter. And I think I'm actually going to use, if you don't mind, I'm going to use that icon on the YouTube channel as well.
Go ahead.
Because the one I have is I like it, but as we discussed, I think the one you made is a lot more
modern. I
yeah,
guess.
modern, and it has a bit more polish to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of gutting to see the old one. Well, not go, because it's always going to be there still, but, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know what you mean.
Oh god. It's
It's a new season.
I'm just thinking of the fucking I just remembered something else about the book.
Oh, God.
Oh my god. There's a
Is it something I'm not able to say on?
I'm
live?
trying to think of the proper way to phrase it. During
Oh, okay.
the mass scene at the end, there's a the dinosaurs that must be held at bay. It's described as a very eager group of young men just waiting to make tacos for the first time.
Oh, man.
They're Allosauruses, by the way.
The only other good, interesting title I can see by this author is seems to be like I don't know what century this is, like an olden days thing, and the title is The Wellborn Strumpet.
Ah.
Oh my god. Just that word. I know what it means, but barely.
I will say that again. I feel weird praising this as much as I am, but that for what it is in this genre, I think that like it was well written. Like,
yeah, we got to be professional about this. We're not just here to point and laugh.
oh well, that's the thing. It would be funny to. I think one of the original thoughts we had was to try and find like kind of shittier audiobooks and listen to them, but it evolved into this where we're finding more obscure and kind of weird things, and
yeah. And finding little nuggets of gold, or diamond in this case.
And to repeat something I think I said off podcast, there's nothing wrong with being weird or being, like, kind of out there. Like, those are the interesting people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just... But if you're not in that weird area, it is... an experience to enter it.
It is.
That was a bad turn of phrase. God damn it.
It was also bad, but you know what? Everything that we've said during this segment could be construed in an unfortunate manner.
I keep thinking, like, every word out of my mouth, I'm like, that could be a euphemism. That could be a euphemism.
Yep.
Oh my god. Well, you know what? We've actually been going for close to the full length. Do you want to say anything else to close us out? Any final thoughts, final ruminations before I close out the podcast?
Oof, what is there to say about such a spicy topic?
Scintillating topic.
Stop talking. Hopefully we can find something as amazing as this for the next time. Maybe it's going to be a book either way for next month, but who knows, maybe we'll go in a completely different direction. Maybe we'll travel down the same vein if we find something equally precious, shall we say.
Oh my god.
But you'll have to wait until next month to hear.
Yeah. Oh man. Alright. Well, thank you, Blue. We'll call it there. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Kaiser.
Oh, God. Oh, sorry. Sorry. My first reaction. This is the this is the Boston in me coming out. I can't stand to hear a gratitude or a compliment or positivity in general.
It was sarcastic. Don't worry.
Thank you. I hope so. All right. This is going to be the end of episode 28 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear us again next week.
See you then.